Rui Sasaki is an artist and educator born in Kochi, Japan. She received her BA in Industrial, Interior, and Craft Design at Musashino Art University in Japan in 2006, before attending Rhode Island School of Design, where she received her MFA in Glass in 2010. She employs glass as a material that makes it possible to document and preserve presence through her works exploring subtle intimacy perceived in places she's present. She has been featured and awarded a number of prizes and grants internationally. Her works are also a part of permanent collections in many museums all over the world. She currently teaches as a part-time lecturer at Tama Art University in Tokyo, while living and making artworks in Kanazawa, Japan. I will now pass the time over to Rui. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to hearing about you.
My name is Rui Sasaki, and then today's presentation title is Reduced from the Surroundings. So next, please. So as you can see, this is like a Japan map, and I live in Kanazawa, which is 1 hour away from Toyama. And you can see where's Tokyo and where I grew up. And then Kanazawa and Toyama is such a big city of craft and glass culture, and then which is center of a glass culture in Asia. Next, please. And then first of all, I would like to share with you about how I work my work. So you can see my house in storage. And then I don't own my studio at all. I'm renting a studio, 2 different studios in Kanazawa City. Kanazawa is such a friendly city to keep making work in glass and ceramics. And we have such a great system rental studio. So even you don't have your own studio, you can just rent and keep making work. So one of them is Makiyama Glass Studio, and then another one is Oshigahara Ceramic and Glass Studio, which is just 20 minutes away each other. So if I cannot book my blowing glass slot at Makiyama Glass Studio, I use studio at Oshigahara Glass Studio as well. So I can manage making my own work or with two studios, and then also there is another rental studio in Toyama Prefecture. So literally we have 3 different studios within 1 hour away each by car. Next slide, please. So this is my private studio in Makiyama Glass Studio. So I share the facility. I rent the facilities with others, but I have my own independent studio. Next, please. So this is when I open my private studio. This is what you can see, and then there's a 2 glory hole glass blowing studio. Next, and then this is a cold shop. Next, and this is kilns, and there have 4 different kilns, and then 2 small kilns as well. Next, please. And then this studio is used to be elementary school. So there is some a gymnastic arena. So this is also the space you can rent if you have an installation work or if you have some packing, big work for museum. Next, please. So this is one of the shots that when I was making installation, I rent this space almost 1 year and then making my installation preview. Next one, please. And then this is when the museum I'm going to pick up all my installation. People use this space as a parking space. So it's really useful, how you make a work, how you share your studio and facilities, and how you actually own your studio, and how you make your installation as well with just rental studios. Next, please. And then this is another studio called Oshigahara Ceramic Glass Studio. Next, please. So this is just only a ceramic studio kilns, and then also the cold shop and the blowing glass. So it's not decent facilities, but it's really good if you rent a studio very quickly. So next, please. So this is how I work usually in Kanazawa. And then everybody here is glass artists, as I believe. So what is a glass? You can like think about what is a glass. Glass is like transparent material, a beautiful material, shiny material. But next, please. But I can just write it down, or adjective I can kind of think of. And then maybe you can think of more. But the glass is really like mysterious material. Like, you know, sometimes glass is like stronger than iron, but sometimes it's very fragile. So what's about glass? I'm really interested in about how I can open the possibility of character of the glass as a material in the concept. Next, please. And I love blowing glass. Next, please. And then technically, I love keep working blowing glass. Next, please. And then sometimes I focus on more about what is the meaning of transparency. So this is a kind of like example of my work. I'm focusing on the character of transparency. So how I make this work is, next please. And then like this just cube, but this is like paper thin glass called shards. I blow into the mold like more than like 100 times. So like when the transparent become white, and then what does it mean about transparency? Transparent means color. What transparency means more reflection phenomena. What does it mean? I was exploring about the meaning of transparency as a concept in the material and the skills as well. Next, please. And so this is a kind of process shot. So I set up the mold in the kiln, and I just blow into like more than 100 or 200. So sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days, and then but just keep going. Next, please. But for me, it's like when I was thinking about glass is the vehicle of preservation and recording as a residue of from my surroundings. You can know what does it mean through my slide. Next, please. And then this word is very key word for my work. Anything essential is invisible to the eyes. Because when I studied abroad in the States at RISD 2007 to 2010, when I arrived in the United States, I was not sure like what I'm saying, how I perceive what is about, and then all my common senses like flip, and then I was really confused about how I can believe my 5 senses to recognize what it is. So if you can see the like brain illustration, just vision is such a small part of when you perceive something. So how I can use my other for my senses to know what it's about. Next, please. And then that was my feeling when I studied abroad. I'm definitely here, but not here. Next, please. So I made one of this work when I was at RISD at the grad student. So called I'm not looking at I. So this is the installation work in the hallway. So when you go through in front of this window, looks like the light was on. Next, please. And you can see mirrors inside the window, but you never see your face. You can just see surroundings. So that was my feeling. Like I'm kind of feel like a ghost, like I'm here but not here. Next, please. So this is also one of my work, inside or out. So you can go into the box, but you cannot see outside. Next, please. But other people from outside can see you. Who is inside. So like, you know, I'm always thinking about people looking at me, but I never looking at others. Next, please. So this time, even now, I'm really interested about absence and presence. Next, please. And then this is the key word for my work as well, I'm thinking about. Next, please. Because when I was in the United States, I kind of lost my intimacy towards where I am. And then also the later part, I was talking about reverse culture shock when I came back from United States to Japan. Also, what is about my kind of loss of my intimacy? What is about my feeling about I'm here but not here? And then when I was read about the book called The Uncanny by Sigmund Freud, he was talking about how is intimacy, the feeling of intimacy is important to recognize your existence. Next, please. So this is the wonderful quote by Sigmund Freud, and you can read this quote on how much the feeling of the intimacy is important for everybody. Okay, next, please. And then this is kind of my short artist statement, as maybe Jocelyn already introduced to everybody. I employ glass as a material that makes it possible to document and preserve in the presence through my work, exploring subtle intimacy perceived in place I am present. So that is the whole concept of my work to all of my work. Next, please. And then first of all, I would like to introduce to you about my work. It's related to the interplay between my body and surrounding. Next, please. So this is I made when I was at grad school. I was wondering about how I can react my body and the surroundings. And as you can know, like eyeball is part of glass. So I was using eye as a glass as a material and a concept. Next, please. And then this is just still images from my video that I shoot. So I was recording all my eye reflections almost like for 24 hours and how I react my body and surroundings. So like, when you open your eyes for long time, your eye get red and then you kind of fill up all your tears in your eye. So all the images of reflection of your eye on your eyeball is like getting blur. So how your body is reacting the surroundings is my keyword for this work. Next, please. And then this work called Never Touch Corners. And then this like small like black things on the shelf is actually glass cast between my body and the space. Corner. Next, please. Because corner is for me is very important space in the private space. Because corner, when you sit on the corner, you can see everything. I was really like uncomfortable being the big large space in the United States because I don't know where and I'm not really feeling good about the big space of sense. So the corner, when you hear corner as a word, you can kind of like imagine the corner is dead space or like, standing up the corner. It's kind of punishment. It's not really good meaning, but the corner is really important for me to know or recognize the space where I am. And then also like as a Japanese, we are very sensitive about the space because we live in such a small space. So even like inner corner and outer corner, we have a specific name of it. Next, please. So this is a kind of like the photo. Your body is a round shape, but the space like house or room is a square. So you literally like never can touch the corner with your body. Next, please. So this is the one of the example that when I'm sitting on the corner, like this is the space between the corner and my butt. So this is the space you can see as a cast glass is you never can touch it. So I cast the glass with black glass that I never can touch with my body on the corner. And then I wrote some text how I feel about when I was sitting on the corner. Next, please. So this is my knees. Oh, no, sorry. This is my heels on the corner. So the one side of the cast glass, it has texture of my skin, and another side of cast glass has a all architecture texture on it. So it's kind of like mixture between my body and the architecture together on the casting. Next, please. And then this is the another corner work that I literally cast corner on this space. So you can see the light top on the corner, like you can see a little like white space on the corner, and that is like when I cast the corner from there. So I was wondering about the corner is always on the edge of the space, but if I cast the corner and put it on the middle of the space, how people react. So next, please. And then also when I was like working with corner, I was wondering about how I can make actually my space with glass, how I can make my nest as a private space. So I start making my nest as my house in private space with glass. So this called self-container number 1. Next, please. So I literally asked my assistant to bring a glass with ponty rod, and then I was just turning around my body, and then it took like 5 days to finish. But like this is my artist residence time, so I time is up, so I couldn't finish. So that's why like the nest was like just here, not on the cupboard, was on the top of my head. Next, please. So this is the finished piece. Next, please. So it's really interested in like when you turn with molten glass, like the first of all, your body is like not stable enough and they're kind of afraid of heat. So like it's very wavy, but once you get used to it, it's more smooth. But like your body is like kind of like not stable enough. So it's always glass is dropping like these waves. So it's the kind of like wavy structure gets very makes strengths of the glass. So when I broke this work, actually I have to use the hammer to break it. It was really like strong structures. So even like you can see the all like glass thread, it's kind of like corresponding like how my body's response when I was like get tired. Maybe I was so lazy to turn glass very quickly, or like when I get tired, like maybe I was turning myself really slowly, so the glass dropped differently. So like all like the residue of the old glass thread is kind of like responding what I did and was feeling about when I'm making this work. Next, please. So this is the first, so you can see the old wavy shape. Next, please. So sometimes it cracks because like, I was turning it to first or something like that. So some of it is really thin, so it's broke. Next, please. And then I rebuilt again. So it's making like a nest. It's like kind of like a breaking glass and rebuilt again, and it's back and forth. So, but that was really interested in that, like, how much I really would like to make my house with glass, nest with glass. And then this one is, oh, sorry, yeah. And then, so this is a kind of like a different shot from like kind of extreme view. That work is almost 300 kilograms and then couldn't move from Belgium to Japan. So when I was showing this work in Japan, I was showing my process shot of a movie, and I made a little kind of same size of glass work in front of video. So you can see some smaller scale of the nest and also the movies as well. Next, please. And then when I came back from Japan, I got a huge reverse culture shock. I'm Japanese and I grew up in Japan and I was born in Japan. And then I never left Japan, like, until when I was 24 years old. But just like staying 4 years in the States, like literally like all my five senses changed. And when I came back to Japan, very uncomfortable. And I was wondering about what is this uncomfortableness came from, or like how I lost my intimacy towards Japan. So I started making my work. Next, please. And then again, like I'm Japanese and then I came back my mother country, but I'm here, but not here. And my friend asked me, I'm like, oh, you're very American. But when I was in the States, like, oh, you're so Japanese. So who I am, like I was really confused. Next, please. So this was my this is my question. This was my question when I came back from United States to Japan. So how I lost my like intimacy towards Japan, and then what is home meaning? So I was start thinking about these three questions. Next, please. And again, this the uncanny, my keyword of my work, is came up to me. Next, please. And I started collecting the plants as my self-medication because I grew up in very countryside. So I always pray with plants. So when I was thinking about collecting the plants, I'm not really interested about plants. And then I love plants, but like I'm not really know about the name of the plants or anything about that. But when you pick up the plants, you use all your five senses, vision, and then you smell your plants, and sometimes you eat, and then also you touch plants. So I was thinking about like self-medication to recover my five senses, who I was before I studied abroad in the States. Like, you know, I thought that was a good idea. So I start collecting the plants wherever I go. Next, please. And this is one of the books that I'm reading right now, and what's a plant knows. So this is like no Japanese book, like I'm reading the translated book, but literally plants knows everything, your past and the future and the present. And even like plants can hear, smell, see, and then also even like they communicating each other. Next, please. And then also this is the two books that are my Bible for my artwork when I was researching. Next, please. And also this is three books that I'm also like I'm keeping reading like almost for 10 years when I'm like struggling making my work and ideas. So this like six books is all related to the space and the body, and then also what's the relationship with space and who you are. Next, please. So this is the first work of after I came back from United States to Japan. I stayed one of the island in Japan nearby Hiroshima Prefecture, and I stayed at island almost for 6 months, and I collected plants with Icelanders, and then I made this work. Next, please. So as you can see this work, you can see the all white plants, and actually it's a white ash. So I picked up collected plants with Icelanders half years, and then I put the plants between sheet glass and fused together in the kiln. And then plants contains all like moisture, rain, minerals from the ground. And then also when you fired, all moistures came up as a bubble, and then also the gas it's contained between glass, so you can see the bubbles from the plants. And then also all ash you can see is like also I put the LED light to light up the glass, so you can kind of see all like veins or like small details that you cannot see with your bare eyes. Actually you can see under microscope gonna show up. So I'm not like just correcting the plants and then showing the plants as a beautiful object, but it's more about I would like to preserve the whole environment of island. And then also I would like to share my memories, what I collected plants with Icelanders and me, myself. So when you see these plants, it's all ash, so it's white, so there is almost no colors. So you can kind of know what its plant is about, or you can guess, but you are not really quite sure like exactly what plant is. So I think that is a kind of my memories, or like kind of like a intimacy about Japan. Like I'm here but not here, and I'm not really sure about who I am or what is my memories. So it's kind of like I was really looking at this work about ambiguity of the memories. And then I really like that when people and interact this work, the people start talking about what is this work. I saw this plants like nearby here, and then but no, I don't think so. Like people start communicating, which is like people start talking about their memories through this work is really important for me. And then you can see the the bottom of this work, you can see the kind of green stuff. This is a kind of seaweed. I stayed in the island in the winter season as well, and there is almost no plants available. And the one of Icelander asked me, like, just go to the sea to collect the seaweed. There is a plant in the ocean, and I picked up the seaweed. And the seaweed, even like after firing, like seaweed contains color. That was amazing too. Next, please. So you can go into this room and the kind of tatami floor mat room, and you can all see kind of experience about all my collection of the plants with Icelanders. Next, please. So this is a close shot. So you can see the old bubbles. So the time is frozen. So if after like 100 years later, if this bubble is broken, actually you can like breathe the 100 years ago airs inside too. Next, please. So this is how I collected plants with Icelander. Next, please. And then this is the second version of this work. And then after 10 years, this is my kind of 11 years after I came back from Japan, from United States. So I collected plants like randomly, like, even like I don't know what to do with it to collect my the plants. And then this is kind of my archive of collection of the plants where I was. Whenever I go, I don't take that much photos, but I collected plants and as my memories. So this is really interested in, like, you can see the 10 years ago plants and the plants from in the pandemics and then now too. Next, please. So you can go into, and then there is a kind of reflective floor on the bottom, so you kind of lose your orientation where you are. So that is a kind of things that, like, when you lost your intimacy, you kind of lost your orientation where you are. So that was my feeling about. So I would like people to kind of experience about it. Next, please. So this is another version of plants project. It looks like a petri dish shape of this glass, and then this was exhibited on one of the temple in Kanazawa city. Next, please. So this is a temple. Next, please. And then there is a beautiful Japanese garden, and always every morning as a ritual activity, like a monk collected all like wild plants, pick up to kind of tidy up the Japanese garden. So I joined their routine, and then I collected plants with monk. Because I would like to make some site-specific work with plants. Next, please. This is a close shot. Next, please. It's another one. Next one. So people can kind of see what is going on. So people kind of like it's not like a panel that you see as an installation before previous work. So like people kind of looking at it like kind of when you see the microscope. Next, please. So this is another one, another version plant project. Next, please. And then during the pandemic, I stayed at home. Everybody had a hard time to go out. And then this is my garden, not garden, just like abandoned garden at my house. I don't take care of that much. But I noticed that a lot of plants is similar to my neighbors. Even like I don't know who live next to my house, but like plants communicating each other, that was really interesting. And I saw some plants came up from the ground, which is no wild plants. I see like a previous tenant who lived here planted ever I know it. So I kind of like feels so weird. This is my house, but somebody stranger planted the plants of my garden. So like I was wondering about what is a private and public through the plants. And then also I I know I know who lived here before me through the plants is really interested in. So the garden is timeless and then also placeless as well, even the private space. Next, please. So the summer plants, I never seen it's no wild plants, but the previous tenant planted. Next, please. And then also during the pandemic, like people is not going out. I'm not sure other country or other area, but in Kanazawa, like a lot of people going out. So like actually like a wild animal is like very active. So a lot of animal like back to the garden or forest or woods, and then they react. So actually like a habitation of plants has been changed a lot. So I see that a lot of tall plants more than before because maybe animal reacted. I don't know, but like during pandemic, definitely like all vegetation of plants has been changed. Next, please. So after that, I had a solo exhibition in Tokyo, and I noticed that during I'm making this work, a lot of work has been exploded, and I was really like wondering about it. Did I mistake about kiln program? And I was really confused because of like even like we don't see what's going on the plants during the pandemic, but plants definitely changed a lot. So like that time I was like wondering about how much people get like it like affect plants. So the plant is very like active because of like people not human beings not interactive. So it's a lot of bubbly like bubble came up from the plants, and then some like just glass is shattered when I open the kilns. So like this is no lies. This like I was like really confused about what's going on, but I really wanted to make some plant project during the pandemic. So this is short. Next, please. So this is like always I use light to light up what's going on inside, but this time I was more interested about what kind of bubbles came up from the plants. So I didn't use any light. Next, please. So it's really hard to see through the images, but when you see the work from the side, it's very bubbly. That was never happened before pandemic, and then now it's after pandemic either. Next, please. And then I start making this work is more like solid work, more than like very thin work, because I see the all layers of times and place from a garden. So I wanted to make the layers of glass. Next, please. So I was putting the old sheet glass, 10 or 20 sheet glass, and I put plants between. And then you can see the kind of layers expression on the corners that I was talking about, the plants nodes, the all layers of time and place. Next, please. So this is another shot. Next, please. And then this is a video sign. So maybe can you click the start button and the people can see the process? Collecting plants is my self-dedication to find a connection between myself and where I am, using all my five senses. I use glass as a container for recording and preserving my surroundings. Glass is ephemeral but immutable. Plants inhale all kinds of elements such as air, humidity, rain, and so on. During the firing process in the kiln, the plant becomes white ash and exhales all its breath as the glass melts and bubbles form. Once the glass cools down, the plant is frozen in time, like a time capsule. So this is how I make, and you can see the process. And also this one is I made like a 2020, like a really like in the during the pandemic. So the plant shrinks so much. So you can even imagine like how big plant was and how shrink the plants a lot after firing. So this was also the one of the character during the pandemic in terms of the plants as well. Next, please. And then also like after I came back from Japan, I was really interested about the weather. Because I live in Hokuriku region, and the Hokuriku region is such a rainy, cloudy, and then also like constantly changing the weather like mountains. And I grew up and I born and I grew up in very like sunny area in Japan. So I was really amazed about how weather is affect your mentally and physically. When I was working at Toyama, a lot of students got winter depression, and then after they graduate, they like definitely wants to leave Toyama right away because they hate the weather so much. But I love the rainy, like this kind of weather in Toyama because it makes me focus on work because the crowd and rainy sun makes me relax. So I really like it, but like I was really surprised at how much people get shocked from the weather. So I was wondering about how the surroundings, which is weather, affect the body and the mentally and physically as well. Next, please. So this is how much we get snow in Kanazawa. Next, please. And then again, the Toyama and the Kanazawa are very close each other, so the weather is very similar too. Next, please. So this is a Hokuriku region, and we get so much rain. This is a kind of like, how much like clear day we have per year is like Ishikawa Prefecture, which is like I live in Kanazawa 11 days, and the Toyama Prefecture is just like 16 days per year. Next, please. And then also this is how much we get sunshine, and then also how the weather is really bad, or like Kanazawa is most the city in Japan that get the thunders per year. I think like this is 2014, but still we have this ranking correct. So that's the kind of weather. We have such a unique weather in Japan, in Kanazawa and Toyama. Next, please. And then this is like how much we get. This is kind of sunny weather in Toyama and Kanazawa. But like, Tokyo, this is very cloudy as a weather. Next, please. Next, please. But also at the same time, after rain, like we get such a beautiful sky colors coming up. Next, please. Next, please. And we get a lot of rainbows as well. Next, please. And then again, this is my main concept using glass as a concept. So I just wondering about how I can capture the subtle intimacy per day. Next, please. And then I was wondering how I can contain or preserve the sunshine like today's sunshine in the glass. And I found phosphorescent crystal mixture as a material. Next, please. And then there is like a phosphorescent crystal mixture for art, but I'm using phosphorescent crystal mixture for the industrial use, which is mixing with concrete and pave in the load, so you can save energy. So when the light is off, the load is growing dark, so that time like saving energy. So it was so hard for me to use this material up the first time because it's not friendly to glass. But after I kind of know how to use it. Next, please. So this is the one of the first one holding sunshine. So I put this work outside and bring back that people can touch and hold and to kind of feel the today's weather. Next, please. And this one is I was making in Norway, in Bergen. Bergen is one of the most rainy city in Europe. And then I put the sphere with phosphorescent glass on the top of the chimney. So once sunset, this sphere is getting glowing in the evening. So it's depending on the weather, so people can appreciate today's weather. Next, please. So it's like this. Next, please. And then this core with a project, like you always make the tableware for drinking or eating, but this is for the appreciation of today's weather. So I really want people to touch the glass to feel the today's weather. So I make the tableware, but I didn't serve any water, what food for this tableware, but I invited people after sunset, and the people can hold it, the tablewares, to kind of eat or drink the sunshine, like past sunshine today's weather. So next, please. So people can kind of see what's going on today's weather until fade out. So if the weather is not really good, viewers just come in really dark. Next, please. So instead of eating or drinking, people looking at or feeling about the light as a reference of today's weather. Next, please. So this cold weather chandelier. Next, please. I set up this work in one of the bird watching house in Toyama. Next, please. So when you go up the stairs, next. And then this chandelier is hooked up with solar panels. So the solar panels makes the electricity to charge the chandelier. So when the weather is really cloudy, you never get charged. The chandelier never get charged. Next, please. So once you go inside, the light is up, and when you stay like 10 seconds, light is off. And next, please. And the chandelier is light up. So it depends on weather. So if the weather is rainy, never chandelier is glowing dark. But if the sunny days are glowing dark. Next, please. So this called liquid sunshine and purify. Purify means like rain lover, people who love the rain. Next, please. So when you enter this room, the work is growing dark. But when nobody is in the room, exhibition room, the light is on and then charged with this work. So depending on how often the viewer is coming back and out of this room. So if the people often coming back and forth this room, people never really see the growing dark work, because you are the weather, viewers is the weather. So like how many people is coming in and out is very important for this work. So if there's just only one people coming in per day at the exhibition, the person gonna see the really growing dark work. So this work is never be same. Next, please. Next, please. So this is another work called Reminiscence of the Water. Next, please. So this glass work is brought into the snow. So you can see the shape of this work is actually depending on what's the quality of the snow. Since we are really in the humid area in Toyama and Kanazawa, the snow is kind of a different character from the United States or like Europe as well. So once you blow into the snow, it's kind of like it's different reactions. When I was making this work in the Sweden, just like glass is blowing up, because Norwegian snow is much drier than Toyama and Kanazawa. But Toyama and Kanazawa's snow is very wet, so the size of the glass is like stays very smaller. Next, please. And then also I made this work, installed this work at one of the temple, represents of water as well. So that's why I was really wondering about how I can relate it to my work to water. So I use the snow. Next, please. So in the inside of the temple, there is the water came from the mountains. Next, please. So there's like a kind of on the archive video, you can see all views of the work. So can you start? So actually, this is a tea house. So if you go through the old Japanese garden, there's a tea house, and then when you open the tea house, there is it's all like this installation happened. So it looks like a rock shape that you saw that all outside of the garden, and then when you go into this room, also you can see the kind of rock shape looks like. So I was wondering about how I can relate it to the outside of this tea house as a venue, and then also garden as well. Next, please. And then last one I was really wanted to talk to you about is I had a solo exhibition in Portland, Japanese garden this year. Next, please. And then this Portland Japanese garden. Next, please. And then this Japanese garden located in the Portland State Park. So it's in mountain. Next, please. And then also, you can see the authentic Japanese garden in the States. Next, please. But also, it's not quite Japanese garden because it's mixture with Japanese plants, and then also original Portland plants as well. So it's kind of makes me feel kind of weird, which is kind of makes me feel the uncanny as well. It's familiar but not familiar. So what does it mean about that? Next, please. Also, the sunshine is very like a fine sunshine came up. Like it's not strong, but it's bright enough. And then also Portland is very famous for rain as well. So I can kind of connect it with where I am in Japan and then where I'm in Portland as well. So I really wanted to use the connection between what's the similarity and what is different between Portland and Kanazawa as well. Next, please. Next, please. And then this Portland Japanese Garden project is supported by Bullseye Glass in Portland. So I work with Bullseye Glass staff member as well. Next, please. And then Portland Japanese Garden, it's garden. So I made outside and also inside artwork as well. Next, please. So this is a tea house at the Portland Japanese Garden, but for me, it's authentic tea house, but not quite as same as I know as a tea house in Japan. So I was wondering about what is it, what is this weird feeling came out. So I made corner work at my house, and I brought the corner of my house to the tea house, because tea house is also represents most intimate space as a Japanese space, and my house and then my room is most like a private space of my home, so that I kind of see the floor mat texture will harmonize with tatami floor at the Portland Japanese Garden tea house, but not quite much. So what does it mean about that? So I was wondering about the intimate space or private space in Portland Japanese Garden, at the Portland Japanese Garden in my house as well. Next, please. So this is a close shot. It's really hard to see the details, but when you closer, you can kind of see the weird difference between Japanese floor tatami mat and then American tatami floor mat as well. Next, please. And then also I made this amayadori work as my nest that you saw the self container. I was wondering about how I can make a nest at the garden as my private space. So I made this work. And then also how I can harmonize nature as a garden and then my work as well, which is artificial work. Next, please. So it's when rainy days you cannot really see anything, and when in the early morning the sunshine hits, so you can see the like a very bright orange color, like house came up. So it's like depending on the time and the weather, and then also natural light as well. So and then you can see the 360 degrees as well. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. So this is a kind of scale you can see. Like a viewer cannot go inside, but actually this is the kind of the things that like a the kind of my nest. And the inside of space is a half tatami mat size, which is we kind of think that half tatami mat. If you have a half tatami mat size, you can sit, and then whole tatami floor mat means you can sleep. So the one tatami floor mat is the kind of minimum size of the one human being can stay as a minimum space. That's my kind of our philosophy of the space in Japan. So I use the kind of philosophy of the next, please. And so this is the inside. Next, please. And then from inside, the old view is very blur. So you can kind of see the where you are and where I am. But once like a light is hit, you can clearly see. So like how the nature and the work is react to each other, I was really interested in. Next, please. And then after 3 months exhibition, like the nature getting harmonized with my work. So you kind of see the branches is communicating with my work, and some squirrel is inside of my work, and some hummingbird is stay on the wires of the top of my work. So it's a shake, like sometimes my work is shaking. So animals and the nature is become part of my work, and my work is part of part of nature as well. So that was really interested in communication as well. Next, please. And then all Bullseye people help me. Next, please. And then all the gardeners help me as well. Next. 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 So this is inside of work. This is third version of the work. The two of the side of panel like I brought from Japan, and two panels I made in the Portland. So the half of the side is from Japan and half of the side is from Portland. Next, please. This is from Portland. Next, please. This is Japanese side as well. Next, please. And I collaborated with gardeners to collect the plants. Next, please. Next. This is a process shot. Next. Next. And then the Bullseye glass has such an amazing video camera that you can kind of record inside of a kiln. Next. And then you can kind of see how the bubbles came up. Yeah, so the bubble is like a happened like suddenly. So it was really amazing the how plants is like turn black and white and then make a bubble. And I never seen the process before, so I was really amazed. Like when like Bullseye people helped me to take this video. Next, please. And this is the one of the largest work that I made with Bullseye for this exhibition. Since I worked with gardeners, and then also when gardener like chop the trees or like trim the tree, like they have a specific meaning of it. Like a gardener see the future, how the plants grow, and then gardener will see how the previous gardener trimmed the tree. So I don't want to trim after gardeners trim the tree because there is a meaning, and everything was really big branch. So I really wanted to keep the size of the branch as gardener trimmed. So I made this work. This work is much taller than my height. And next, please. Next, please. So yeah, this is the kind of plants. It's already dead plants, but it's covered with moss. So I kind of see the life cycles in the plants. Next, please. And then Bullseye people help me to make this work. Next, please. And that's how it turns. Next, please. And that's the people help me a lot at the Portland Japanese Garden Exhibition. Next, please. And I do some commissioned work as well. This is the Trunk Hotel in Shibuya in Tokyo. Next, please. And then during the pandemic, they need some social distance shield, but they want to fill the plant, nature. So I collected plants from my studio, around my studio in Tokyo as well, to make this social distance shield as well. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. This is a whole view. Next, please. And then also this is Tokyo Kabukicho Tower, which is the center of Tokyo. And then it's kind of entertainment district in Japan. Next, please. And then there is the hotel. And then I made this work. Next, please. And this is a whole view. It's really hard to see, but there is a close shot. Next. And then some of plants is I collected in around Kanazawa, which is my studio, and some of plants is in Kabukicho area. And then whenever I collected plants, I can see the old trashes or like ground is very smelly and then it's really wet. And the plants is really different. When I fired, or like stem or leaf is really weak, so it just like disappear or something like that. So it's like really interesting how plant is very active without human beings, but when a lot of people reacted, connected to the nature, the plant is getting really weak, and that was really interesting for me how Kabukicho's plant and the Kanazawa plant is different. Next, please. So that's a close shot. Next. And then when I'm collecting plants, I have to collaborate with a lot of people, and which is really good because I start collecting plants as my self-medication, which is I'm communicating with myself and then also my memories. But since when I'm doing a project, I'm going to collaborate with others. And when I'm collecting plants with them, they start talking about their personal stories, or like we share the idea or memories. So actual work itself is very important for me, but also process is really important to make this work deeply. Because when we start talking about it, some personal story, the people who you can see on the slide is I just met a few hours ago, and the people never really talk about any private conversation. But once we try collecting plants, somehow people open-minded and they start talking is really interested in. So I'm already, and I'm going to start making some archive of a story how people are comfortable to talking about their private stories when they're collecting plants, so which is really interesting. Next, please. And then also, as you can see, all my work, is lighting is really important. So I didn't have a time to show any lighting research for this presentation, but I'm always working with lighting designer, or like I research about lighting a lot. And then this work is the long hair woman is actually architect, and she's really into it lighting as well for architecture. So we kind of like looking at what kind of lighting is very good for my work. So I'm always thinking about not just I'm a glass artist, but also glass and light is really strong connection for my work. Next, please. And then like there's archive, but it's 5 minutes archive, so I just gonna skip it for today. So next, please. Thank you so much. Sorry, like I'm like 10 minutes over, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Rui, for your presentation.
Thank you so much for listening for a long time.
Now we have like a short Q&A section. If you have any questions or comments, please use the raise hand function, or you can use the chat box to type your question in. Anyone? David?
Hi, Rui. I wanted to ask about what temperatures you fire your plants at. If you could share anything about that.
Oh yeah, of course. It's nothing secret. So I don't know about Fahrenheit, but Celsius is 820 to 840
And that's the
top
height of
temperature.
what you go to?
That's the top temperature, and
Okay.
I keep like sometimes 1 hour or sometimes 30 minutes. It depends on plants.
If I can add one thing to that, what temperature do you ash the plants at? How you like burn them out beforehand?
I keep on 600 Celsius degrees,
Okay.
almost like sometimes 24 hours or sometimes 5 hours or sometimes 30 hours. It really depends on plants.
Right.
Especially during pandemic, everything's like messed up. So I always have my kilns. So yeah. So
Gotcha.
like 600 and then 820 to 840 is very like a key to like temperature kind of points.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And we have one more person. Eleanor?
Hello. I wanted to ask you about the steps in your own pursuit in art and making it a career. Like when you went out of the university, what were like the first steps to get to be a recognized artist, etc., etc.
Oh, you mean like as an artist career?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So after I graduated grad school, I have no idea what to do with it. And then also I'm broke, literally broke because this situation is so expensive. So, but and then I have no studio available in the States. So I was working as a artist assistant for another artist. And then also I did a TA, teaching assistant or artist assistant at the Pilchak or Corning. And then I tried to like like get to know people and also get to have a lot of experience. And then after 1 or 2 years stay in the States after my graduation from RISD, I came back to Japan and then started working as a part-time lecturer at the university or like working as a full-time staff member at the art university or institution as well.
Right. Thank you so much. And I have another
Yep.
question. Sorry. I have done some experiments also with plants, but I have used the dry ones between
Mhm.
glass to burn them. You use. I wasn't really paying attention when you said you use them fresh or dry when you put them in the kiln.
It's always fresh because I try to get the moisture inside the plants as much as I can because I'm not really interested about, of course I'm interested about, but I'm not really interested about the plants, how beautiful residue it is or anything. Like I'm more interested about plants contains moisture, rain or something like environment as a like container. So whenever I collected the plants, I always put in a Ziploc and as much as I can keep the moisture inside the plants.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more questions from anyone? David?
Hi, sorry, I thought of another one. I know you mentioned that you used kind of industrial phosphorescent material, and you said you had some issues with compatibility or something. Could you talk about like what those issues were exactly?
Yeah, I can explain. The phosphorescent crystal mixture is if you use a powder, it just like the vitrify right away. So even like when you try to pull the cane, just like solid, and you never can pull any cane. But and also when you use the very big frit of phosphorescent crystal mixture, it just crack because you're literally putting the stone inside the glass. And then if you have one part has a frit of the phosphorescent crystal mixture and one part don't have anything, it will crack. So as I understand it, if I have even kind of density of the phosphorescent crystal mixture everywhere of your object will be fine. But if not, or also the thickness of glass is very important.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess if there isn't any more questions, I will go ahead and start to wrap up since it's getting a little late.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Well, thank you, Rui, for joining us in conversation today. I'm very excited in seeing more of your works in the near future. It's a pleasure to host you today, and I'm sure we all enjoyed your presentation. We also want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending this wonderful meeting. If you would like to watch or listen to this program again, the recording will be available within the next week, and you will be able to find it on our website or YouTube channel. And a special thanks to all our donors. Gas program services and benefits would not be possible without contributions from people like them. While we continue to work on our programming, we would like to ask you to email us at studentrep@glassart.org with any suggestions on what content you would like to hear from the gas student meetups. And you can also follow us on Instagram or join our Facebook group, Student Center by the Glass Art Society, for more information. And lastly, thank you and have a good morning, day, or night. And hope to see you all here again in January, I guess.
Thank you so much for everyone to join and then be patient to listen to my Japanese English as well. Yeah.